And that's how they take out people. You know, like guys that invent free energy motors and what have you. We can talk a lot about that stuff, about various people who have come up with wonderful inventions who suddenly had heart attacks. You know, this is how they do it. Notice in this drawing, this Russian drawing, they have two of them, and remember, you really need to have two pointing at the target because it's at the intersection of the beams where the destructive force takes place. Scalar wave energy domes. Tesla said that with using his powers and his secret devices that he could generate a field, and this is what it was, and this field would essentially stop anything that tried to get through it. So what is it actually doing? These things affect mass. Now, when I say dome, it's not like the entire thing is solid energy. It's actually a shell. Okay, so if you're inside here, you're not being affected. But if you try to go through that shell, you're going to disintegrate. If you have a substantial amount of mass, or steel or something, you're going to disintegrate. Japanese pilots here, this is a thing from Tokyo Evening News, June 12, 1982. These guys got so used to seeing these things out over the ocean when these were being tested and developed, that they pretty soon they just stopped reporting it. Here's somebody who was talking about they witnessed a test over Atlanta where they built the thing. As you can see, the clouds are essentially pushed away. So it creates like a pressure, and the clouds actually, you can see it by the clouds on the exterior surface. And all sorts of weird cloud formation was taking place, and that's what makes it visible. And this is important to note because we're going to be talking about clouds here really soon. Did scalar weapons cause the Siberian mist degree explosion in Tunguska? Everybody heard about that?
Yes.
Okay. What was it? June 30th, 1908. Monster explosion. You probably heard it for 1,000 miles away. This was way before atomic bombs. This was out in the middle of Siberia. There wasn't anybody around, but they sure heard it. They sent this guy out here. This is a stamp from Russia, and this commemorates the expedition where he went out there and investigated the phenomenon. When he came back, he said that he suspected that it was actually a meteorite that struck the area, but there was never any traces or fragments of meteorite found. You notice that these trees are just pushed over, and this is one of the... Oh, what now? And, well, that's what it is, though. You see, this is what that is. And we're going to talk about how scalar weapons actually cause explosions, because it is an interaction with antimatter.
Actually, it was my ship that exploded. I was the captain of the ship in my previous life.
You did it?
No, I was the captain of the ship. That's how I died, and that's how my previous life before this one ended.
Well, there was no traces found, so you must have disintegrated.
Yeah.
No doubt. I'm sure if they dig down, they might still find you.
There was, however, as far as alpha and particles that are found at meteorite landings, there was that read there that you only get from a meteorite explosion.
Right, but that's true. But it's also possible that what was going on here, duplicated those very same phenomena. And one thing that should be also interesting is noted. If you do a search on Tunguska, and that is spelled Tunguska, Tunguska, if anybody wants to look that up. They sell a liquid vitamin product that is made from the herbs that are growing, because they say that the crater, the vegetation that's now growing in that crater just has all these incredible properties, these healing properties. And so that's kind of bizarre. So out of this destruction came all this some really weird stuff.
I'd heard that they thought it was a comet coming in at such a low angle that it spread and exploded with
well,
all
they've been speculating quite a long time. But if you look at this map here, here's Tesla's facility in Long Island. Here's a direct line over there. Okay, so Tesla had to find a good place to test his weapon. Well, how about the middle of Siberia where there's nobody around for hundreds and hundreds of miles? He's not going to hurt anybody. They heard it, but he didn't hurt anybody. He might have knocked down some trees and killed some animals, but for the most part, this is how he was able to test this stuff. That was 1909. Okay, chemtrails and scalar waves.
Oh, yes.
Oh, lots of chemtrails nowadays, huh?
Have you noticed that?
Isn't that kind of weird, all the chemtrails? Kind of strange, huh?
What's going on?
But it's weird how there's chemtrails and then soon after everybody gets sick.
Yeah, people get sick. Well, a lot of people are thinking that there's stuff in the chemtrails, and there's probably a lot to that. but, you know, some people say they're putting AIDS in it, tuberculosis, all kinds of weird things. But let's talk about, this is pretty intensive stuff. Okay, these special clouds, when irradiated or salmon teal color, are vibrated into cirrus-like clouds so that when viewed from above, all activities of scalar weather modification can be made visible. Think of it like a crayon being drawn across the top of a chessboard. When the individual blocks across the chessboard are capable of moving in 4 dimensions, these thick contrails are laced with aluminum oxide and barium salts. Remember barium salts, because that's what come up. They are there to reveal the movements of this chess game. So this is very important because they're using this for reconnaissance, and it makes it able to see otherwise invisible radiation. There's a satellite view, so this is what it looks like from up above. See this big swath right here? Something caused those. Now I don't think this was wind, because if it was wind, it'd be a little more localized. Now, this is a pattern. This is why they do it. The scalar waves cause these particles because it's essentially matter. Scalar waves are looking for matter with a little bit of mass. So that's why they put the aluminum and the barium in there. Barium does something else, but the aluminum is mainly to give the cloud some mass so that it can react. They're used to tune scalar weather modification. Now remember, these are waves. So here we have 2 wavefronts. See the waves? So this is an interaction between 2 wavefronts. A lot of times they like to have these things go through here because they can show an interruption. This is very illustrative. Okay, they find the intersection of these moving things. This is how they tune it, because you're trying to, okay, where are we? You know, you can't, it's like using infrared lasers, and people ask me, okay, how do we aim our infrared laser? Well, you got to have night vision. Well, what if you don't have scalar wave vision? They haven't come up with that yet, so we use chemtrails. All right, aluminum, oh, interferometers. We could talk about interferometers. Anybody here know what an interferometer is? Just one? Come on, you know what an interferometer is, right?
Sorry.
Laser interferometry. Has anybody heard about this?
It's been a long time.
Gareth, come on, you guys. Jeez. Okay. Katrina.